We are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 3 of season 2, I want to remind you guys of a few quick things. I want to make sure you guys like and subscribe. Our podcast is growing and we want to continue to grow. So if you're watching this and enjoy our content, make sure to smash that like button because that helps YouTube push us out into the YouTube algorithm. And then also, if you want to stay and continue to watch our content, please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate all of you for watching, viewing, liking, sharing our content. We know you guys, a lot of you guys are so supportive, so thank you for that. We appreciate you. I want to also remind you guys that we are in full effect of the Detroit Pistons season, and I want to make sure you guys turn on your post notifications button. It looks like a bell on our YouTube profile. Make sure to press that and turn on all notifications because we have brought back Revved Up recaps. And now that we are in the full season, we are going to be hopping on Zoom after every Detroit Pistons game and talking about it, getting into the nit and grit details of what went wrong in the game or what went right, and talk about the key players and the statistics. We hop on for about 20 to 30 minutes and we just talk about each and every game. So make sure to tune into our Revved Up recaps also. Without further ado, episode number 3 of season 2. Recently, ESPN came out with their top 100 NBA players and their rankings per se. And these two guys, we have a love-hate relationship with ESPN. But I'm excited to know what Ryan has to say about this because I'm pretty sure we're both pretty fired up with what ESPN has put out. Ryan, start us off with talking about ESPN's top 100. Can we just start over?
Yeah.
I messed up so many times.
You don't even have to, I can just edit that out.
Okay, I messed up so many times I threw myself off. And then I forgot to do the Grind Clothing Co.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm going to write down Grind Clothing Co. so I don't forget.
It's not like you said, hey, I'm Karen. That would have been bad.
All right, here we go.
Hilarious.
I won't take too long on this one.
Nah, I don't
In
care.
the intro.
It's either or. I like spending time with you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I need practice. Oh, it was only 2 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. At least it wasn't like, okay, here we go. And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 3 of season 2, I want to make sure to remind you guys of a few things. I want to make sure you guys like and subscribe. Our podcast is growing and we want to continue to grow, and that's where you guys come in. So make sure to smash that thumbs up button because when you hit that, that pushes us out to more people in the YouTube algorithm. So make sure to hit that thumbs up button. And then also, if you're watching new to the channel and you like our content, hit that subscribe button because that's a way for us to know that you are added to our Revved Up 906 community. And we appreciate you guys for viewing and subscribing and everything you guys do for us. The nice comments, we appreciate it so much, so thank you for that. Also, we are bringing back Revved Up recaps now that the NBA season is in full effect. So we are going to be hopping on Zoom for 20 to 30 minutes and talking about each and every Detroit Pistons game. What went wrong, what went right, and the key players, and maybe things that, the coaching. We talk about each and every little detail. So make sure to tune in to our Revved Up recaps. And a way to make that easy is to turn on your post notifications button. It looks like a bell on our YouTube profile and select all notifications. So then you will be up in the know and updated with everything that we're posting. And Revved Up recaps, we're going to be doing it for sure 82 times, and you guys got to make sure to tune in. So be out on the lookout for that. Also, we are official sponsors of Grind Clothing Co. They have partnered up with us and put out new merch all the time, and we're having new season 2 merch come out very, very soon. So stay out on the lookout for that. But we have hats like the one I'm wearing. In today's episode, we have sweatshirts like the one Ryan is wearing, and then we have bucket hats that look very similar to this one. So make sure to click the link in our YouTube bio or in the description of this video. That link will shoot you right to Grind Clothing Co.'s website, and you can look at all the options they have to offer for your favorite Detroit Pistons podcast, Revved Up 906. Without further ado, let's get into episode number 3. Very recently, ESPN came out with their top 100 rankings of NBA players. And me and Ryan, everyone knows we have a love-hate relationship with ESPN. They always seem to just stick a dagger in our side, per se, and snub every Detroit Pistons player. But we're going to talk about it. Ryan, get us started.
Should I start with the one that's like, ESPN, are you stupid? But or should I go with more?
Let's get right into the nit and grit. Yeah,
right
let's just get into hating ESPN. I'm into it.
Cade Cunningham is ranked 74th out of 100 players.
Dude.
That is very low. But most notably, the man that is in front of him, I don't even think should even be in the top 100. I don't think he's even in the top 130. Austin Reeves. Like, are you serious right now? I could seriously go on a soapbox speech right now, this moment, and just go off on how Austin Reeves is just a mediocre player.
Oh.
But I'm not going to, because that's just mean. But I will say that you suck.
It's like putting Joe Ingles above Cade Cunningham. How does that work?
I will say that one's more respectable than Austin Reeves.
You like Joe Ingles more than Austin Reeves?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
I just think there's a comparison there. Like, it's like,
Like Austin Reeves, you should not be ranked 66th out of 100 players.
It's crazy.
And not to mention, the guys who he's ahead of besides just Cade alone, you have him in front of like Tobias Harris, Tyler Hero, Jordan Clarkson, Chris Paul, Kyle Kuzma, Robert Williams, John Collins, Mike Conley, Russell Westbrook. The list goes on.
He is not better than them.
No, he isn't. And that's just like, what are you basing this off of? And as I was breaking down why they ranked him, where they ranked him, they were basing it off of FIBA basketball. And I'm sitting there going like, wait a minute, FIBA basketball counts in this? I thought we were talking about NBA. That's not even NBA, that's FIBA. Like, you're playing against a bunch of different countries' players. You're not actually playing strictly against NBA players. Yeah, are there NBA players on those other countries' teams? Yes, there are. But a lot of those countries, they don't have a lot of NBA talent on their teams. It's mainly just EuroLeague. So realistically, Austin Reeves going up and going off against a EuroLeague player, of course he's going to look better. I don't know why he wouldn't, because he's going up against EuroLeague. No disrespect to EuroLeague. You're just not the NBA. You're not that level yet.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, you can talk about his game all you want. Yeah, he had clutch plays last year, yada, yada, yada. But realistically, when you break down the Los Angeles Lakers, you're putting all your defensive focus on LeBron James. Then, if not LeBron, Anthony Davis.
Yep.
And then realistically, you don't want to focus on anybody else, because you're fine giving up the shot with everybody else. You just want to guard LeBron and AD. So there's, like, of course Austin Reeves is going to look like a stud.
Well, even for me, if I'm an opposing coach game planning for the Lakers, Christian Wood is going to be higher on my list of a game plan against him than Austin Reeves. It's just crazy. It's so frustrating.
Like, I really could be all negative about this right now, but I'm not going to. I've said what I've said because you do suck, but I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm going to take the high road here.
After we rant.
After we rant.
Yeah.
But I will say, I applaud ESPN. Dylan Brooks is not on the list.
Oh, thank goodness.
That is good. We don't want that. If he was ahead of Cade Cunningham too, I would just get up and leave.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason you have Austin Reeves and Dylan Brooks ahead of him. But I will say some notable guys that are ahead of Cade that I think is questionable. You have Chet Holmgren.
Agreed.
That is very questionable. Granted,
Hasn't played a game.
He has not played a game in the NBA. He has played preseason, but does that matter?
But
I don't think
still.
so. Does Summer League matter? I don't think so. Chet Holmgren has never stepped foot in the league, and he's ranked ahead of Cade Cunningham. Granted, he's 73rd, but still, that's ahead of Cade. You have Scotty Barnes.
Oh.
I like Scotty Barnes, but is he better than Cade Cunningham? I do not think so. Cade is elite. Scotty Barnes last year disappeared off the face of the earth.
He's mid.
Where was he? Like, he's supposed to be one of the better players in the NBA. He just didn't show up. I don't know. Maybe it's Spicy P's team, but I don't know.
You don't have him circled as far as a guy that like you think should be shouldn't be in front of Cade. But one guy that I was upset about that was in front of Cade was Desmond Bane. Because yes, I understand he can shoot, okay defense, but as far as making an impact in a 42-minute game, Cade Cunningham is the centerpiece of a team. Desmond Bane is a fourth, fifth option. It's like I just don't get it.
That is fair. I will say that.
Just like, and his averages is like, he doesn't even average 20 points a game. Like I don't get it. You know.
Somebody else. This one is like, it's again in the Chet Holmgren talk, right? The way they ranked Cade this year was, last year he was ranked 35th.
Which is,
And
I'm okay with that. I'm
okay
better with that.
Yeah. And then he jumps down to 74. Like, what happened there?
It's like,
the
what?
way they were saying is like, oh, we were basing it off the fact that he only played in 12 games and he was injured for the whole season. Okay, if that's the case, Chet Holmgren has never stepped foot in the NBA and he's ranked ahead of Cade.
Yeah.
Zion Williamson, how many games has he played in his career? I would
Like
argue
40.
I would argue just as much as Cade.
Yeah.
So like, why is Zion Williamson ranked 57? I personally think he's overrated. I will get some flack for that. I do not care because he sucks. He just does. He hasn't panned out to be anything. He's probably one of the bigger busts in NBA history in terms of #1 picks. I'm just saying it. Number 53, Josh Giddey. I like Josh Giddey a lot. He's a good overall player, but like, he's not elite. Cade Cunningham is elite. I don't even have to break down the stats to show you how elite Cade is. Just in our previous episode, season 2, episode 1, I talk about how Cade is an elite player. Elite players build up teams. You have Chris Paul with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That team shouldn't have made the playoffs, but they did because Chris Paul is that elite. Cade Cunningham is that guy. Is Josh Giddey that guy? No, nope. It's Shea's team. It's not Josh Giddey's team. It's Shea's team.
Nope.
So the fact that he's 53 and Cade is 74, that is a no. Victor Wembanyama at 47. I'm a little bit like, okay, cool. I'm fine with that. But at the same time, like, again, has not stepped foot in the NBA. He's only played preseason and summer league. And in summer league, he really only played 2-3 games, and that's it. He really didn't play all that much. We've seen him dominate Europe completely, been a beast, generational talent, supposedly. But, like, he hasn't stepped foot in the NBA. And to me, like, if you're going to have these guys ahead of others, they have to have the experience.
Yep.
Like, they can't just be, like, a rookie and then all of a sudden just show up. Like, how do you rank a guy that's never stepped foot in the league at 47? You don't know how he's going to play against Kevin Durant. You don't know how he's going to play against LeBron James. So, like, the fact that you have him that high, it's just like, oh.
Also, I'm looking at the list right now, and he's not a Detroit Piston, but LaMelo Ball at 48 is, like, kind of insane to me. He should, for sure, in my opinion, be top 25.
I think so, too.
That's crazy. 48?
Yes.
Like, they are trying to upset every small market team.
They are. But I also think they're trying to upset fans in general to talk about it, and that's what we're doing right now. So I think it's working in their favor.
Yeah, so I hate you, ESPN.
But number 42, Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is a good player. I'm not debating that. But are you better than Cade Cunningham? No, you're
telling
not.
me that the Sixers would pick Tyrese Maxey over Cade Cunningham?
I don't think they would. Nobody would.
No, so that means he should be ranked higher.
Yes, and at 41, I agree that Klay Thompson should be ahead of Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. But the fact that he's 41, that's low. Granted, this is a Pistons video, not an all-NBA, but Klay Thompson, my goodness, should not be 41.
Top 30.
Yes. Evan Mobley at 40. Cade Cunningham is better. Evan Mobley disappeared off the face of the earth last year, just like Scotty Barnes did. These two guys in that rookie year with Cade, everybody's like, oh, these guys are so good. Last year, where were they? I mean, Cade, you could say the same thing. Where was Cade? He was injured. It was not his fault. It just happened, okay? And honestly, Cade could have played the whole season if he wanted to. It was just one of those injuries where he's like, you know what, it's kind of been bugging me for my entire career. Like, why not just get the surgery and see what happens? That's what happened. It's not like he had a season-ending injury all of a sudden out of the blue. That's not what happened. He decided to have the surgery. Paolo Banchero at 30. How does that happen? Like, I mean, yeah, he was a stud last year, but like,
He should be in the 50s.
What is showing so much that he has to be 30? Like, the fact that it's kind of bold that ESPN even did this, but he's ahead of Kyrie Irving. He's ahead of John Morant, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Klay Thompson, James Harden. The list goes on.
How?
Like, I understand Paolo Banchero is a good, solid player, but at the same time, you're putting him over these league vets that are just so much better, and then also, like, you're putting disrespect on these guys, kind of brushing up their careers off like they're nothing. But again, Paolo Banchero should not be ranked 30. But that's about it on my hot takes right there.
I'm not sure where he's at, but there's 2 more guys that you didn't, or 3 more guys that you didn't list that upset me that ahead of Cade. Brook Lopez. I know he's a vet center. I know he's consistent, but you're telling me that if you're doing a draft in NBA 2K, Cade is on the board and Brook Lopez is on the board, and you're taking Brook over Cade? That's how I break down these rankings, is the guys that you want to add to your team. And I'm taking Cade all day over Brook Lopez. Another guy, OG Anunoby. He's a good player, also on a small market team. That's probably why he got snubbed the way where he did. I'd still take Cade over OG Anunoby. And then this one really upsets me because I liked his play style when he was at Tennessee or Texas, I can't remember. Miles Turner.
Yep.
He's not better than Cade Cunningham. The impact Cade makes on his prospective team, which is the Detroit Pistons, is way more of an impact on the game than Miles Turner does. I just don't understand these rankings. As far as we saw Cade get put at 74, what range do you see him getting put?
Miles Turner or Cade?
Cade.
Cade?
Like, where do you see him on the list? Like, where would you put him on the list?
Honestly, keep him at 35.
Right.
I'd be fine with that. Like, yeah, would that be out of Klay Thompson? Should that be a thing? Honestly, it shouldn't be a thing just because of who Klay Thompson is. But based off of the impact one has on team, if we're talking strictly impact alone, Cade should be much higher than 74. If we're talking position-wise, then yeah, Miles Turner is obviously better than Cade Cunningham because Miles Turner is a center, Cade Cunningham is a point guard. And I will say this, Cade can play easily 1 through 3. If he really wanted to, he could probably play 1 through 4. If he really wanted to. If you're going small ball, that is. But that being said, like, I think he should be 35 still. If not 35, I get the injury completely, but at least have him in the 40 range, not 74.
If he's going to slip.
Yeah, like, it's just this list is so inconsistent because you have a bunch of these guys that had injuries in years past or had injuries this past year, and, like, they're ranked ahead of Cade, but for what reason? Like, you can't sit there and tell me, like, they're clearly significantly better than Cade Cunningham, because you can't. You really can't. Cade, in his 12 games that he played this past year, it was phenomenal. He had a great 12 games. So if you're basing it off of play last year, he did play, and in those 12 games, he was a stud.
Yep.
So if you're going based off of last year's play, he should be ahead of 74 minus the injury. And if you want to put the injury in there still, fine, so be it. Put him in the 50s. It's just like, this list is like, I want to punch a wall.
I know, it makes me so upset. I wanted to throw my phone when I opened up the rankings. One guy I do want to talk about that's a Piston is Bojan, because last year we saw him get ranked at 98 at the beginning of last season, and he's nowhere to be found on the list. But we're talking about a guy in Bojan Bogdanovic that averaged 20 points a game and flirted with shooting 50% from the field.
Yep.
So you're telling me the guys in the 90s, the 80s is more valuable to a team than Bojan Bogdanovic? I mean, we have a love-hate relationship with him overall, but in the end, I think he's a top 100 player.
Yeah, when you go at all the trade speculation surrounding him last year, every single team in the NBA wanted him.
Yeah.
So obviously he has value.
Mm-hmm.
If you like it or not, he should be ranked. Granted, this year's rankings, I will say, it seemed like ESPN just threw a bunch of the NBA vets at the end, just kind of to just throw them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they actually wanted them in there, which I feel like is completely disrespectful. Again, this is a Pistons podcast, but I just got to throw out there. It is disrespectful that you have Harrison Barnes at 96. It is disrespectful that you have Russell Westbrook at 94, Mike Conley at 93, Buddy Hield at 87, Tobias Harris at 83, Chris Paul at 76.
I would have thought he's at least top 60.
These guys, they should be higher on the list, but they're obviously their play has declined in the last couple of years. They're not peak what they were. They have declined. They have slipped a little bit, but they're still not bad players. Harrison Barnes has averaged 15 points his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
What NBA player, I don't know, Chet Holmgren can say that. Chet Holmgren has not even averaged anything. So, the point is, I think this list was just thrown together to have people talk about it, because there's no way you're sitting there going yeah, I actually think this player is better. Richard Jefferson was commenting on this, actually, and he purposely pointed it out that there were no NBA players or former basketball players alone that were in the process of determining this list. It was strictly just analysts.
Yeah,
now,
which
I understand.
is crazy.
Me and Hudson, we're kind of in that field. So to the fellow analysts, we apologize for bashing your rankings, but they are incorrect.
Yeah.
They really are. There's so many inconsistencies. You can't just name one.
And in the end, when we do our Revved Up recaps, we can do our best to analyze how the game went. But really, in the end, the guys on the court were really the only ones that got to experience the game so intimately. So the way we watch a Pistons game, Cade Cunningham, if you ask him certain questions, might have saw the game differently. In close games that go into overtime, maybe the Pistons guys just knew that they didn't have it in them to win in overtime, where we just saw a couple plays go wrong and we thought that the Pistons could have won it. You just don't know. So it's I totally agree with that point that only NBA players really know what certain guys' talent levels are at. A guy like Paul George might think that Apollo Banchero is making a splash, but when you play against him, you're just I don't know how he does it. He doesn't seem to have the skill. I think that's a fair point from Jefferson.
Yeah, and I will say, outside of Bojan, I think Jaden Ivey should have made the list.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Because, you look at the list, who made it? Jalen Williams made the list.
Yep.
Jalen Williams, I love your game. You're a very solid player. Kudos to you making all rookie first team last year with Jaden Ivey. Us Pistons fans alone were shocked that even happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the moral of the story is nobody expected you to do what you did, and you proved everybody wrong, and that therefore you got all those accolades. But Jaden Ivey played just as good as everybody thought he was going to play, and apparently that wasn't good enough. And the same goes for this ranking. I'm sorry, but you have Jalen Williams at 95 here, and I was talking about the disrespect of having Harrison Barnes at 96 and a bunch of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Jalen Williams against Harrison Barnes, Grant Williams, Colin Sexton, Jonas Valanciunas, and Mitchell Robinson. As poor of Jonas Valanciunas and Mitchell Robinson are compared to Colin Sexton, Grant Williams, and Harrison Barnes, they're still better than Jalen Williams, realistically, from an impact and historically speaking. These guys have had very big impacts on every single team they've been a part of. So Jalen Williams making this list, a former rookie from last year, is just shocking to me. Cade should have made Cade did make the list. Jaden Ivey should have made the list. Bojan should have made the list by a landslide. Like, there's those two alone. And honestly, Jalen Duren should have made the list.
There's an argument. Yep.
There is an argument there. Like, Paul George, on his podcast, aka Podcast P, if you like NBA content, if you like fellow NBA players and what they do content-wise, got to go check out Paul George.
Yeah, he's got a good one.
He has a very good one. But he said on there, like, he could not move Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren at that time, 18 years old. Paul George in his 30s can't even move Jalen Duren at all. It's like a brick wall. Like, you can't even move it. It's not movable. And he's like literally calling him out to be like the mini Dwight Howard. So like just that case alone, and you saw the impact of what Jalen Duren did for us and the league last year alone. And you're going like, why isn't he on the list, but you have Jalen Williams on the list? You have Josh Hart at 91 on the list.
That's the one that makes me upset too.
Like, there's a bunch of these guys where I'm like, why are they on the list and why aren't these guys on the list?
You're telling me Jaden Ivey couldn't be at 91?
No.
I mean, come on. I mean, Josh Hart, really? Ugh. It's upsetting. And even seeing John Collins at 90, Robert Williams at 89, Kevin Looney at 88, those are solid players. But you're telling me Jalen Duren can't give them a run for their money? Every night those guys are shaking in their boots because they know they got to go up against 19-year-old beast Jalen Duren. I think that's crazy that those guys didn't sneak in. I'm not saying they're top 50. I'm not saying they're top 70, but top 100, I believe so. I believe they can be in there.
At the end of the day, it's always going to be Detroit versus everybody.
Yep.
That's the philosophy. That's our motto. And that's never going to change. And that goes for all our sports. Granted, this year it might be a little different, obviously, because the Honolulu Blue is just soaring right now. The Lions won pride, going strong. I as much as I am a Lions fan, I'm scared to say that they're Super Bowl contenders because we all know what's happened historically speaking. But I think this team is legit. But just in the sense of Pistons basketball alone, everybody, content-wise, content creators out there, whenever there's a video and they're going like, we have to pick a player off this team to go 82-0 in 2K, they're always going like, who's even on the Pistons? Like, it's just like one of those things. And so we're never going to get our respect. We're going to have to earn it. That's what the Going to Work Pistons did. That's what the Bad Boys did. And so honestly, even though we could sit here and critique this list to the very core, I think it's earned. Really, it really is. And I think this puts a chip on all those guys' shoulders that didn't make the list.
Yeah.
And going into this season, I think we may see a very, very hungry and wanting to be very scrappy young Detroit Pistons team.
Yeah, and it's not the off season anymore. No. It's not all just talk. Now they can prove it on the court, and they have been in this early stage of the season. So it just makes you even that more excited to see what the Pistons prove and to show that guys like Cade Cunningham, he can say to himself, I'm not top 70, I'm top 30, I'm top 20. Like, start pushing that edge of putting the league on notice. I think that that's what the Pistons are going to do this year. That will wrap up episode number 3 of season 2. We will see you guys in episode number 4. Peace.